Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to be talking about 6 easy ways to store your cultured foods. Having lots of fermented food in your fridge is the same as having a medicine cabinet stocked with natural remedies. We reach for these foods again and again, not only to keep us healthy and disease-free, but also when we find ourselves struggling with a virus or a stomach ache or any kind of ailment that requires extra body support. So let me tell you this little story. In 2017, we moved from Kansas City, Missouri to Southern California to be near our 2 older kids and their families. They had moved here and we can do our business anywhere. So we moved trying to stay as a close family. We sold our home, packed trailers, U-Hauls, dogs, family, all of our worldly possessions. And it really is an experience that I don't care to repeat. It was exhausting. We were on the road on my 57th birthday. We left on my birthday. And I was so exhausted from packing and staying up late, trying to get it done, that I even forgot it was my birthday. So did everybody else. So on our journey across America, which was like, oh my gosh, it was like 26 hours or something like that, I found myself getting sick. And I kind of had a sore throat, a stuffy nose, and I had just worn myself out, staying up late, and my body had just had enough. I was worn out. So I couldn't breathe because my nose was all stuffy. So I grabbed a couple of Q-tips from my purse, dipped them in some kimchi in a cooler, and swabbed the inside of my nose. And the reason I did that was I had a radio show caller when I was doing radio shows way back in the day tell me that she got rid of a sinus infection that she'd had for 6 months by doing this. So I thought, I'm doing this. I'm so desperate to breathe that I went ahead and did swab that kimchi and swabbed my nose. And 5 to 10 minutes later, much to my surprise, my nose began to run like crazy. And I could breathe again. My husband grabbed me a kombucha from one of the coolers, and I drank the whole bottle in like 5 minutes. And the whole trip, all I could think about was, where are all my coolers and cultured foods? How can I get to them? Which ones that got the kefir in it? And I have learned a few things about storing foods because I don't go anywhere without my cultured foods. They're some of the most important foods in my fridge. And since we were trekking halfway across the country to bring my whole family together again, I went ahead and took all these cultured foods with me tucked tightly in coolers. So if you don't have a lot of room in your fridge, let me help you to make room for these foods that work like medicine. It's really more important than you can imagine. Fast forward about 7 years later, I would do it all again to be with my family. And it was such an experience. And we're very happy and settled here. I absolutely love it here. And as long as I can take my cultures with me, I can take any journey, go the distance, and find my way to a home. And, our house is where it houses our family. And my cultured foods are part of my family. So as you can see, through most of the troublesome times of my life, I have reached for these foods again and again. And they have made me well so many times, and my family and those around me, that I can't go anywhere without them. You spread your good bacteria everywhere you go, just to make sure you've got the good kinds. So everywhere I go, every person that I meet, every person that I touch or hug gets some of my good bacteria. That's just who we are. We're 100 trillion good bacteria. And I want to be a force for good in this world. I also want to stay very healthy and live a long and healthy life. And these foods help me do that. Okay, so let's get to the 6 ways you can store your ferments. So here are some of the things that I use for kefir. Well, for kefir soda and kombucha. And you can even store your milk kefir grains in these, but I like tall bottles. 32-ounce bottles for my kombucha and kefir soda, the kind with the flip tops on them. And I've got pictures of this in the article. You can click on the article and see everything that I use. But I always use these 32-ounce bottles, and especially for kombucha and kefir soda, because you got to be very careful when you're making kefir soda and kombucha that you get thick bottles made for brewing, not just the ones from the, craft store. Those aren't strong enough to withstand the pressure of these bottles. And so I have an Amazon store link where I have a link for all these bottles because they're very inexpensive there to buy, and they're the thick glass bottled ones that are made for actual brewing. And I will link that in the description below. Now, another thing, as you consume krauts or veggies that you make either in gallon jars or quart jars or half-gallon jars, you can put them in smaller jars even after they've been fermented in big jars. Like, let's say you made a gallon of kraut or kimchi or whatever. You can always remove that and put them in smaller quart jars if you want to have them in smaller containers and give you more space in your fridge. Glass canning jars work great. Always make sure they're glass. You can use metal lids, but they tend to degrade because fermentation does that. It removes heavy pesticides and toxicity things that are, present in the vegetables. That's why they degrade all kinds of compounds and basically make your vegetables organic after about 6 days of fermenting. And so I like to use the plastic lids because they don't break down. I also love wick jars. They work too. They have glass lids and clamps down for easy storage. And I will link, again, my link to all the jars that I use. They're mostly on Amazon, but these are the kind of jars that I use, and I'll link my storefront so you can see all that. Now, even better, you can store your cultured veggies in stackable glass storage containers. You can transfer your kraut, your pickles, and they have all these new glass containers. Luvelli makes really good ones. Okay, let me tell you about Luvelli. Luvelli they're the ones that make the yogurt makers. They also have a fabulous blender, but they also have these glass storage jars that I am obsessed with because they come with this airlock, and it is a little vacuum that will pull out all of the air out of the things and make your vegetables last so long, especially with things like, your fermented vegetables, but also fresh fruits and vegetables like cucumbers. The cucumbers can tend to go bad really fast, but not if you use these glass storage jars where you suck out the air. They're fabulous. I have so many that I got rid of all my other stuff because I use them, and then I can see what's in them. I like that you can see what's in these jars. So I will put those links too, and then you can see all of these links in the article as well. The stackable square ones can also work for things like cultured veggie juice, and they seal really well. And you can always, the juice is just as powerful as the cultured vegetables themselves. So you could even just store the brine in there and take what we call gut shots because they're so good for you. And I will show you the links to all of those. Now, use up, give away, or eat your extra cultures. I know that is something most people don't do, but we use all of our scobies that we use. We've got a whole list of ways you can use up your scobies because there's good properties in them. Very, very good properties for your body. We make slushies with them. We make a SCOBY puree. We make sweet and sour SCOBY sorbet, SCOBY dog treats. You can do a raw SCOBY cookie dough, SCOBY applesauce. We have SCOBY slushies, SCOBY date balls. Okay, my daughter made this one, SCOBY pie crust, and I thought she was crazy, but it actually turned out really good. SCOBY fruit popsicles, SCOBY energy balls, SCOBY smoothies, brown sugar SCOBY scrub for your body and face, SCOBY garlic dressing, and we have so many things you can do with SCOBYs. And so don't throw them out. They're really good for you. And I will link that in the description too. Now, here's another thing you can do. You can buy a mini fridge. You would be shocked how much a mini fridge can help you with your cultured foods. You can find them cheap at garage sales or online. And it is said that in Korea, they sell a kimchi refrigerator because kimchi is like their national food there and especially designed for ferments. So you can store a lot of cultures in a mini fridge and have rooms for many other things too. We second ferment kombucha in a leftover store-bought kombucha bottles. And we put them in a mini fridge when they're done. So we have lots and lots of kombucha. And, you can leave kombucha in your refrigerator for like a year and it's still good. It never really goes bad. It always stays healthy because of the good bacteria and properties. It mostly gets more tart and sour, turns more like a vinegar taste if you leave it too long. But if it's in the fridge, It still tastes really good to let it go. As long as it tasted good when you put it in, it'll continue to slowly, very slowly ferment and kind of age like a fine wine, and it tastes so good. So don't throw out your kombucha. It's still good, and it can last a very, very long time. So leave out your over-fermented kombucha when storing scobies or on the counter. You can leave them out, and it's better for the scobies. The scobies don't like being in the fridge. It's hard on them. They'll stop working after a while. So it's better to leave it on the counter, and then the starter tea will just eventually turn, like I said before, to vinegar and will last, months on your counter. And you can always refresh it with a little bit of sweet tea every once in a while, every couple months or so, and it will keep those scobies strong and healthy. So we have so many things and ways to use your over-fermented kombucha. Like if your kombucha turns to like a vinegar taste, you can always save it as a starter tea for your next batch. And it will make your next batch of kombucha really fast because it's stronger. You can also use your overly strong tasting kombucha as a household cleaner. It kind of works like vinegar. We have a recipe for that where you can, add it to a bottle, a spray bottle, and some water. And we have a recipe for it, and it cleans things very, very well. I'm finding kombucha in a lot of face products now, toners and things like that, and they work very well. We can also, if you have peels from apple cores, or you can save those and add some honey, water, and kombucha in a SCOBY, and you'll make your own apple scrap, kind of like an apple cider vinegar. It's very, very good. We use a lot of our leftover kombucha that's kind of strong tasting for marinades for meat and veggies, and we have a really good recipe for that has fresh herbs and garlic in it. It makes a really tasty marinade for anything that you'd like a marinade for. You can also do the SCOBY Hotel, which we talked about earlier. And then, like I said, they're using them in facial toners. And we have a recipe on how to make your own facial toner. We had a lady that had some kind of a sunspot that her doctor was really concerned about. And she started using kombucha on her face as a toner, and it went away. It was amazing. And so we have a recipe for that too, and I'll link that in the description below. You can also make probiotic water with it on a hot day with some ginger and lemon and a little bit of that kombucha and some water. And it makes a really refreshing hot drink. You can just use it if it gets really vinegary tasting. You can use it like vinegar in recipes. It works just the same. Another thing is kombucha mayo. Oh my gosh, it makes the best mayonnaise. Kombucha does, and it takes like 20 seconds in a jar. We have 10 salad dressings that use kombucha. My favorite being the kombucha Italian salad dressing. I make that all the time. It's very, very good. And I make all my own dressings anymore. I just don't like all the oils that are the bad seed oils in a lot of the homemade dressings and salad dressings. Just, guys, once you get used to making them, they take like less than 5 minutes to make. They're so easy. The kombucha helps it to stay really preserved in the fridge, so it lasts a very long time, your salad dressings and your mayo that you can make from it. So it's something that I really want to teach people to do, is to make their own salad dressings and mayos, because it's so easy, and then you have a bunch in your fridge. I have some that I keep in there all the time. I keep the ranch dressing in there all the time. The kombucha Italian dressing. Well, I have so many dressings now that it's ridiculous. I just made a herbed mayo out of the homemade mayonnaise dressing that takes 20 seconds to make. And I just chop fresh herbs and put it in there, a little bit of garlic. That makes a wonderful dressing. There's so many things you can do, and I have like 10, I think, on this page, and I'll link that in the description below too. So this is all the fun things you can do and ways you can store your ferments. Take them with you. They'll keep you healthy. If you're traveling and you want something fast and easy, take some easy kefir with you. It's just a powder, and you mix it in milk and in a jar, and you can take that. I've taken it on a cruise ship. I've taken it to hotels. I've taken it everywhere. And easy kefir is easy because it's just a powder. And so you just mix it in milk, and in 24 hours you got kefir. That's a great thing to take on vacation, so you don't get any kind of, a lot of people get stomach ailments when they travel to different countries. And easy kefir is great for that. Kombucha is a little harder to travel with. Usually you can find that readily available almost anywhere now. And even the veggies, you can find those in the health food stores. They've got a lot of them. They'll say live cultures on the back, and you know they're good. So anyway, those are just some of my little tips and tricks, and I'll put all the links in the description below so you can see them. But take your cultures with you, store them, get an extra little mini fridge if you need it. It's worth it. It's worth having those special probiotic foods around that keep you healthy and happy. So check out the articles. You'll find all different ways you can use up your extra cultures and how to keep everything well preserved. And remember, cultured foods preserve the food, and they preserve you too. So they work very well to keep everything healthy and alive and full of good bacteria. So thanks for listening, guys, and we'll talk to you next week.